Hello, you guys. Welcome back to another video slash episode on this podcast slash YouTube channel. Whether you are watching or listening, thank you so much for being here. And let's get right on into it. I don't know why I just thought of this like before filming, but it's a great disclaimer nonetheless. I'm like, I've made a couple of videos this June and I've talked about it a lot on my Instagram and on my TikTok, but I was like, I don't remember if I said it on YouTube. And I want to scream it to the top of my lungs on every single platform. Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, everybody. If you are not new to my channel, you know this channel is pro black, pro brown, pro woman, pro queer community. Um, so if you don't like that, you can get on. I'm not gonna lie, like my Instagram is kind of scaring me a little bit. Like on my Instagram and TikTok, I value all my platforms, but especially YouTube because I think YouTube is where I get the deepest and we really build like a community. Like people actually like to watch me. They like how I tell stories. They like, the healing content I do. But on my TikTok and Instagram, sometimes it is the internet. Sometimes I am just a pretty girl on the internet and like I get male following. And I'm like, I'm not liking some of the comments I'm getting when I'm wishing people a happy Pride Month from who? Who do you ask? Some of the men on my page. Some of you guys got blocked. Um, so I just always want to make it clear as can be where I stand on every single platform. Shout out to all my queer, non-binary, especially the ones in my community. As a straight woman, I'm an ally, but especially my queer, trans, non-binary, black people with intersectionality. You guys deserve all the love and hugs all this month and all year long. Moving on. So today in today's episode, I want to get into attachment styles. I think maybe a year ago, over a year ago, because I've been on YouTube for like a year and a half now. Clock it. Eee! I love it. I'm so happy with my journey. Where I didn't make a video necessarily titled anything with attachment styles. I think the title was something about mirroring. You guys will be able to find it in my Yap Sessions playlist. I believe it's over a year old. But that's all the time I really talked about attachment styles. And I talked about how I felt like in my two serious relationships I've had, now at this point in my life I've had three, but in that video I only had two, and it was like night and day the type of attachment I had in my first serious relationship versus my second. My first, absolutely, like, well, here's the thing I want to make the video about. Like, I speak from the heart in most podcast episodes and I always will, but here we're going to get a little more technical because I did some research and I got the terms, and I just want to talk about how all correlates because I think in most relationships, if we have if you're new to relationships or if you have done a tremendous amount of healing, you can come in one attachment and leave a different way. Like when I was first in love for the first time, that was like my first serious relationship. So I feel like I came in very secure. I left, I left anxious AF. Okay. Second relationship, I feel like I was avoidant. Like it's just interesting to see how things change. But before I get into all that, let me read you guys the textbook terms right now. So anxious attachment, I feel like, is the most talked about attachment. You've probably heard it before. Anxious attachment means here are some qualities of anxious attachment: fear of abandonment, constant need for reassurance, very emotionally reactive, and very, very clingy, especially if the relationship is early. Because sometimes qualities like that can arise the deeper you fall and the closer you get. But some people are just like that from the jump because they're anxiously attachment. Like that's just how they form relationships. Avoidant attachment. Here are some qualities of avoidant attachment: strong desire for independence, discomfort with emotions and vulnerability, and difficulty trusting people. And then we have secure attachment, which is emotionally regulated people who have positive self-worth, good empathy, but also very good boundary setting. And those are the three typically. I remember in therapy, my therapist was T, y'all. Like, I wish I had this handout that she printed out for me when I was having really bad anxiety about attachment styles. because it showed that like these are the three main attachments, but there's like subgroups in between. But for the sake of this video, we're just gonna focus on those three. Because sometimes I have a bone to pick about people who judge people and their attachment styles. Okay, because everything comes from something. No one is just born super confident. No one is just born super insecure. No one is just born like the relationships and how they grow up truly shapes them, right? How many of you guys have met someone that you think is so great, so beautiful inside and out, and they do not like themselves? It's most likely because they've grown up in an environment that has taught them to not like themselves or not appreciate themselves. So it's all like it all comes together, right? So I think like personally in my upbringing, I was brought up to be very confident. Um, I had a very affirmative mother. The typical you're a black woman, you're the shit, you're very pretty, you're very smart, you can do anything. And that's really how I grew up thinking about myself. Like, some people unfortunately get insecurities and get low self worth very early in their age because of the negative environments they grow up around. They grow up around people who hate themselves or people who just find it easy to make them a target. That wasn't how I grew up. So I feel like it makes sense for my first relationship, the first time I fell in love, I was very secure. Like, yeah, I grew up seeing like a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, and all that. But I was also very talked up to strong, independent woman. Like, yeah, like if the relationship doesn't work out, like, okay, like I can break up with someone who's not treating me how I want to be treated, but also I want to be here. So I was very like, I'd say a healthy, secure attachment style. And then you start dating men and then you start dating men. And I can't credit all my trauma or self-worth to men, because if you guys know me and like how I feel about my spirituality, I truly believe everything is within me. What perceptions I choose to have of myself and what I choose to stay in my head, what I want to do. I'm not a religious person. I'm not a like, oh, pray about it or um God or whatever. I'm just like, I can do whatever I want. I'm the shit. Like, it's all within me. I have the power. That's how I feel. But I'm also a human being. Like, being in bad relationships or being around people who make you feel like shit. Like, I'm never, like, even though I grew up super confident and I would say I'm a confident person to this day, I'm never going to be like, oh, yeah, like, what people say never affects me. Like, it's so easy to just get over it when men do me wrong. That's not the case. I'm still just a girl at the end of the day. So my first serious relationship, my first love story was, I feel like, a tale as old as time. One person starts slipping away and the other person is trying to grip on. That's where I feel like avoidant and anxious and a mess comes together. Um, I was like secure at the beginning, but I was severely love bombed into like getting comfortable, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be my man for life and I should stick around for everything. Um, yeah, but you know how teenage boys are. They start to feel things and start to not like you, but they don't want to tell you that. They like to just treat you mean. And that's how it started to go for me. So when I see this, when I'm like, wait, why is this man acting different? What happened to all those promises? Why is he starting to lie to me? Why do I never know where we stand now? Instead of staying secure and being like, oh, that's how you want to act, bye. It don't matter that I'm in love or that I've had all these new experiences with you, that I lost my, like, it doesn't matter. Like, bye, because I'm not about to let someone treat me like that. Instead, I fell into anxious. I fell into, what did I write in my notes? Fear of abandonment, um, constant need for reassurance, emotionally reactive, clingy. That's what I fell into because I just felt like it's my first time being in love and I didn't know what to do with the first time feeling all these big feelings. So that's what I resorted to, which is why I'm saying don't judge people who are in any of these attachment styles, because there's always a reason. When I was reading up a lot of common reasons why people have certain attachment styles too. And like I said, for me, I think growing up as secure, I think my attachment styles changed on relationships based on the type of relationship it was. Because then we get into it, then whatever, breakup, first heartbreak, depression, blah, blah, blah. I made tons of videos. and you guys get the gist. You guys know. Okay? 19 years old, boom. Did some healing, went to therapy for the first time. Couple months later, I got into my second serious relationship. Now the roles are reversed. I feel like I'm okay, like I'm secure, whatever, but because I did so much healing and I just built up my self worth and all this. But I think sometimes avoidant and anxious people kind of chase each other like a cat and dog, because I started dating someone who was clearly anxious from the jump. Anxious from the jump, like needed so much for me, needed me to promise all these things from the jump, was just so scared of going through another bad relationship, which I don't blame, but yes, I blame and fuck this nigga because this was my abusive relationship. So I'm blaming him. But in all honesty, I feel like I came into my second serious relationship more on the secure side. But being with someone who was super anxious and super abusive kind of turned me into like that avoidant. It was just like, I love this person and I wanted to deal with them. But I was like, a lot of times I was like, I can't. Like, I literally can't do this. And also, when you're in an abusive relationship, some of the qualities here I wrote was like discomfort with emotions and vulnerability. Um, and those are things that I've never really dealt with. Like, again, for most of my life, if you guys follow me, like, I'm very opinionated. I'm very like an open book as much as I want to be. I'm still a Scorpio. But yeah, I never really had trouble in that area of emotional and vulnerability. But I definitely did in this relationship because when it's abusive, you don't feel safe to do those things because a lot of times it's so unsafe for people in those situations, which is how I felt, where when there's no safety, it doesn't feel safe to be with your emotions. Like, I've been through this conversation like clockwork. Sometimes it gets tiring talking about my trauma, but it definitely matters. Like, I was in an emotionally, like mentally and sexually abusive relationship. Um, so those all went hand in hand. I feel like um with how my abuser handled me. So it's like if I were to bring up how like this is kind of abuse or this doesn't really make me feel good or this makes me feel scared, this makes I was always gaslit into being like I'm the problem, that's crazy. What are you talking about? So no wonder why I wrote in my notes discomfort with emotions and vulnerability because why would I want to bring up how I feel and get abused and get screamed at? So what does that turn me into? Avoidant. I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it in this day and age because, like I said, the type of relationship I was in. But what I really want to touch on in this video is that it's so interesting because I feel like when I was going through my first heartbreak in my first relationship, when it was like I was clearly the anxious one, the one gripping on, my ex was the one running, being avoidant. I think, and when I was in the heartbreak, I villainized him so much, which is valid, okay? When it's your first love, it's the person who took your like all those things, and then they lie to you and they just like leave you so confused with so many unanswered questions. Yes, 100%. It's okay to villainize and be mad and be angry and be confused, but I think I almost started to associate like that type of person, that type of avoidance, like villainize people like that. Like, yeah, anxiouses are just like the people who just want to be loved and want to be in their blah, blah. And then avoidance are just like the people who are mean and don't deserve them. Like, that's kind of how I viewed that relationship. But then I got in my next one where I said, which was actually abusive, and the roles were reversed, where I was the avoidant, he was the anxious, but the anxious person was abusing me. And I realized, oh, maybe no one's the villain and it just is situational. I 100% nowadays think it's situational because like I said, there's always a reason to the madness. Which again, sometimes I don't even like to get into at this point of my healing because it's like, yes, there's a reason for things, but I'm really tired, especially when it comes to men, of seeing people use like, well, this is why people are the way they are. This is why they repeat abuse. And this is okay. Sometimes I literally don't give about the reason. Like, I think context is important, but context isn't excuse. It isn't, oh, it's good, they had a hard life, so it's fine for them to abuse other people. That's not how it is. But when I reflect on the people I've loved and the relationships I've had, I 100% see the reason behind the madness. But once again, no excuse. Because even though I've been avoidant and attachment, I've been avoidant and anxious, I've never abused anybody. So, yeah, I just think that all these terms and all these things in life, it's just like there's so many layers. You know what I mean? Like, everyone is anxious. Everyone can have anxious moments, can have anxiety attacks, but not everybody is diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, right? And just like sometimes I hate the word insecure. Like when I talk about how my abuser was and how, like, that's the first word I would use to describe him. Someone super insecure. So, someone who just tries to control what they can, which is me in that case, in an abusive way. Because not all insecure people inflict their pain on other people. But again, I hate how everybody tries to be like, especially men, especially men towards women, always try to throw that word around. Oh, she's so insecure, that's why she's like this, blah. But the whole time everybody has insecurities. Like, oh my gosh. It literally makes me feel insane sometimes when I think about things in relationships that I've been called insecure for, when I'm just like, but they have insecurities too, bitch. Everybody does. Like, you want to call me insecure for that? I think you make me do this is insecure, but I'm not going to do that because I want to respect your feelings. Um, but they don't be seen at the same way. Anyway, before this video is over, comment what attachment style you personally think you are or were in your last current relationship and why you feel that way. And also, I just want to add too, I think attachment styles are subject to change because, like I said, how a lot of times I think in my relationships I can start out secure and I can change based off, I hate to say letting other people change me, but it's true. Like, people who are supposed to be your safe space and your closeness, yes, sometimes those things do affect you. And yeah, I think emotions and relationships ebb and flow and they're subject to evolving. I like, I don't know what you guys claim long-term relationships. Both of those relationships were a year long. Like, for from the one when I was 18, I feel like that's pretty long for being a fresh new adult, still technically a teenager. But I've never been like long term with someone for years. And I truly think that stages in your life can fluctuate your styles. Like, you can feel super secure at times, but maybe when I'm married to someone, I've been together with them for years, and then I have a baby, and then I'm going through postpartum, maybe I might be more anxious or I might be more avoidant because of all the hormones and stuff changing my body. Maybe if you are with your man or your woman or something and they go through a huge loss, maybe they might turn a little bit avoidant. Like, I think all of these are subject to change. But I personally want to say, I think that in my most recent relationship, even though what the hell was that? If you guys have watched my videos, I say how, like, it was a crazy relationship. I definitely settled for some things, but I can't really pinpoint me being anxious or avoidant in this relationship. Maybe again I should deep dive into like the subcategories of the attachments. But I would like, because I can't, I would say I was secure, but also not secure. Because, like I said, some of the stuff I dealt with, girl, was that really secure? But then at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe I just had my moments. But I'm like, for now, I know it's very easy, like when you're by yourself, or when you're at the start of something, it's very easy to be secure when all you're focusing on is myself. I'm not worried about who's doing what. I'm not worried, like, you know, or maybe if you are starting something new, it's like you don't have anything to make up yet. Like, they just all seem so, I personally, as someone who I think reached secure after being both and is obviously secure now, but again, how reliable is that when I'm not in a deep relationship, you know? Um, I just want to share a little bit about how I feel like I found myself being secure after being on both sides of the spectrum. Because very much easier said than done. But then again, I'm like, I feel like damn near my my whole channel, especially the past couple months, is about feeling secure. Yeah, because like I said, in my spiritual belief, I truly just think it is me. Like, I have the power. I'm here to enjoy my life. And especially, I think it's really just about reinstilling affirmations in your head. Because at the end of the day, it's like, as a woman, but especially as a black woman, I feel like it can be really hard to find that balance when women already just go through tons on top of tons on top of tons of stuff. We see it in the recent trials, girls speaking their truth, and you still got a lot to say. But then when girls don't say anything about their truth, then it's, oh, well, why didn't they say anything? It's like you can never win. There's so much to unpack there. But then on top of that, me being a black woman, like even though I was raised very confidently, um, there's still the whole world making fun of your hair, making fun of you if you're too quiet, making fun of you if you're too loud, just really, really hating on you. So it's really hard, I feel like, sometimes to find that balance of secureness. And I would just say to feel secure for anyone, but especially my women here, just remember, like, I feel like so many times women, we just have such deep devotion and passion that I feel like we forget. Babes, you don't have to deal with a damn thing that you don't want to. Literally, literally. Like, I find so much liberation in that. No matter how much you love someone, no matter what type of situation you're in, like, I'm literally so powerful. If I don't want to deal with, like, this is why I hate sometimes when it comes to discourse of other women arguing about each other's boundaries. I try not to, like, give my 2 cents because at the end of the day, I'm not that woman. And I feel like, again, women, we can literally have anything we desire as long as it's not abusive or hurting someone, right? So if a girl wants a man to pay all the bills, if a girl wants her man to only follow her on Instagram, whatever, girl, because there's always someone who will. But I feel like when we get caught up in the closeness and the devotion that we have to some people, we forget that this is literally still in our hands. Like, if we don't want to keep crying, keep having to correct someone, keep having to beg someone not to have wandering eyes, not to lie, not to all this, girl, you don't have to. Leave him. Leave him. Block him. Like I just talked about with the boundaries, there's literally always someone who will, which is why I like hot takes. Some boundaries, I'm like, every boundary is realistic because there is someone who will. There are relationships that sound crazy to me, but there's someone who will. And I also, people, oh, I hate this generation. I wish I was born in the other generation. I don't. First of all, I'm black and a woman, and there's still bullshit in this generation, but we're evolving. But talking about, I wish I was born in the wrong generation. I don't. We have social media where I can do a background check on you. I can see the type of stuff you follow, the type of stuff you like. I can probably see a lot of your thoughts and opinions. I love that. Like, we're living in 2025, where, again, like I said in the beginning, it's still a slippery slope. But people, it's more safe for people, at least in America, in some parts, to be queer. Like, this was not that easy 20 years ago. You know, there's people who can live their full true life and they can be polyamorous. Like, there's so many things where it's like, would I want that for myself? No, but I love that people have the freedom to really be expressive and have what they want. I think cheaters, stuff like that, why do you want to be with a monogamous woman? Why don't you go have that type of relationship and be yourself and see if you like it? Like, you get what I mean? I love this generation partially. But anyways, guys, I was yapping and I was most definitely going all over the place, as one does, because it's my channel and that's what I do. So I hope I said something positive that you can take away from this, something that spoke to you. Like I said, once again, guys, tell me your attachment styles and tell me the whys if you're comfortable. And even if you can relate to me, because I remember the video I made about mirroring. A lot of other people said that they've noticed that switch too. That like if they were anxious in one relationship, the next relationship they're avoiding or flip flopping. So I want to know all of your thoughts. And something else really important I want to mention before the video is over. Like I said, wishing everybody a happy Pride Month at the beginning is once again, this channel is a safe space for Black people, for brown people, for queer people, for women, for men who know how to act right, I guess. No, I'm playing. um, so yeah, with everything going on, and especially being a Southern Californian resident, I just want to say hugs and kisses and love to anyone who is affected by what is going on with ICE and immigration. Like I said, as a Southern Californian resident, I'm seeing this stuff. This stuff is affecting my own communities, and it's not cute. It's not cute. My grandmother is an immigrant. My dad is first generation American on that side of the family. I grew up around tons of immigrant families, immigrant businesses, um, and I just I just think they're great people, and breaking certain laws or whatever doesn't warrant this type of brutality at all. So just hugs, love, healing to anyone affected. And yeah, I just always, like I said, I always want to be clear where I stand on this channel. Anyways, thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.